Welcome to Keys from My Inbox. Ooh, I am your host, Attack Slug. Welcome back to the show where I look at unsolicited keys that show up for video games in my inbox. This is Hyper Bounce Blast from Flump Studios. It is $4.99 on Steam. And the first thing I thought here was, wow, that sounds like a mobile game name. I'm not going to look at that at all. But let me read you the title of this email. It says, Space Invaders meets Mario. So perhaps I got this because of my Super Mario Maker video series, but honestly, I understand why you would title your email like that. But for me, this game is more Geometry Wars meets Ikaruga, which for me is much more appealing of a mashup. So I'm going to hop in here to the very beginning of Hyper Bounce Blast. These menus, not great, but they get the job done. So I'm going to start back here onto Wave 1 and show you just what this game is. It very much is a Geometry Wars style twin-stick shooter, but you get kind of an Ikaruga vibe because if you're bouncing, you absorb the enemy bullets instead of getting hit by them. So like most good shmups here, you can see I am a little bit of a little bitty circle, right? And only that yellow part of the circle is the part that can actually get hit. So you can see here, I'm a circle, and I shoot out with the right stick. It is a twin-stick shooter, and the waves are not dependent on the enemies being shot at, right? So the blue stuff here is what you want to bounce on. So you bounce on the blue, and as long as you're airborne and bouncing, you don't take any damage. Now, the way that waves complete is on the right side of the screen that fills from 0 to 100%. And when that hits 100, regardless of which enemies are dead, then the wave will be over. But so you can see here, I'm in the air, these bullets are hitting me, and they aren't doing, like, I'm not dying. So that is the crux of the way this game is set up. I think visually it is exactly what you want it to be. There's no real distracting stuff here, and that's, I think, a lot of shmups might fall into that pattern of, wow, this is actually visually distracting, and I'm gonna die. But here, I can totally, it's obviously, you're paying attention to things, a lot of things at once, and that can be, a bit much, but as long as you hone yourself, as long as you hone your craft here, you should do okay. So we're gonna run into the first boss here. Now, it does checkpoint you on waves, and it does give you a checkpoint before and after a boss. So you can kind of start on different waves. So here, obviously, you're gonna be shooting, but you want to obviously not get hit by these little yellow circles. But yeah, so I've played about 20 minutes so far, and I was like, you know what? I can do a video with 20 minutes, having played what I've played. There's not much more to explain outside of what I've already explained, at least, not so far. I don't know how long this game is. I don't know how many waves there are. I don't know how many bosses there are. But from what I've played thus far, I like it. So usually when I sit down, for one of these type of videos, if I immediately like it, I'm going to turn on the camera and just start recording, because that's usually, you get the best impressions that way. So first boss, not really a problem. I've managed to get through it a couple of times. No big deal. There is a wall jump. That's going to come in handy, certainly. So if you're on the wall, you get one wall jump in between your bounces, and that is kind of important. Now you get scored here, and obviously you're going to be going for the highest scores possible. So there are certain, obviously, ones that I gotta stop saying obviously. There are ones where you want to be bouncing, ideally bouncing here, wall jump, bouncing the entire time, because that's going to get you the best score possible. You can hit the top of the screen here, which I'll do right now. I missed it. I wanted the top of the screen. So I'm not usually like 100% bounce. I'm not usually aiming for killing every enemy. What you're aiming for is surviving the wave. Obviously, killing every enemy. There you go. Weak bank. When you kill every enemy, that is going to give you a higher score, certainly. But it is not a prerequisite for finishing the wave. I'm not doing great here. Want to get that 10k, but I don't want to get hit. So You don't ever really want to be on the ground for any kind of an extended period because that's going to be bad. Weak bank, wave complete. So yes, this is very well made. It's $5. It's on Steam. If you are a fan of shmups, if you're a fan of stuff like Ikaruga, and certainly Geometry Wars, those are two very good ways to describe this game as a mashup of those two. I wouldn't say it's a mashup of Mario and Space Invaders. It's not really what it is. I mean, you could make that argument. It's not the one that I'd make. You know, for perhaps if you're aiming for a more mass market appeal, but this kind of game to me would appeal to the more hardcore, you know, players out there. The lasers won't kill you just by touching them. They will crush you, but they won't kill you. So, you know, just putting that out there. Don't be afraid to touch the lasers. I know in most games, obviously, stop saying obviously. In most games, laser touch is bad touch. But here, no, it's fine. So, I just don't want to hit the ground, because if you're on the ground and you get hit by yellow, you are an unhappy fellow, as they say. Ooh, what is that? Alright, so that I had not gotten before. So you can see here, I'm just hanging out on the lasers, hitting the edges here to make them go away. And my percentage here is at 40%, and we're just going to head towards 100. I'm going to try to wall jump into the, yep, weak bank. Whoops. No! Okay, I almost died there. That was almost real bad. But yeah, you just kind of absorb stuff as long as you're bouncing, as long as you're in the air, you are absorbing, and that is how you want to play this game. And I think that certainly the challenge is there, certainly the possibility of improving your skills and getting higher scores is certainly there. And that is, you know, that kind of a game, which is fine by me. I am all about those kinds of games. This boss is tricky because of the laser stuff. You want to actually be on the right side of the screen mostly, because eventually you just won't have any room. And then this part, you have to bounce. Watch this. Look at that. You literally, if you're not bouncing, you're dead. You are dead. I can't think of any other way to get around that and not die. And then this does get a bit like I'm staring kind of at the patterns and at my ship at the same time, which is not good for being a little bit cross-eyed. But you do what? Oh no, died. I died. You get 2 lives, 3 lives, something like that, when you go through these. So I have beaten this boss before. So if I can't beat it here, I will just zoom past it onto the checkpoint if I have time here for this video. But I think in general, you kind of get the idea of what this game is at this point of the video. And if you don't, then I don't know how to help you. But it's neat. It's visually striking in a way that definitely helps the gameplay. I think if they had gone any crazier with the visuals past this point, it would have been too hard to follow. And that's no fun for a game like this. So, you know, when you're taking inspiration from a game like, again, Geometry Wars, that is certainly a good game to take inspiration from in terms of how your visual design is rendered. So I dig that. But this stuff here, yeah, you just want to kind of stay on the ground and not get hit, because getting hit would be bad. You would die. That's video games. So wait. That was just me. That was just poor play. But I should still beat this boss. No problem. Hopefully. He should go blue one more time. One more. Yep. One more blue. One more set of the blue. So I can't hurt him when he's blue. He's just kind of hanging out here and bouncing. Critical kill. There we go. Phase complete, which is not the first time that I've completed that phase. Although I did certainly die more than I did last time. So we'll go a little bit farther here, just a tiny bit farther, because I have not played this wave, so I'm curious as to how it plays out. And I'm curious as to how many waves are in this game and how much harder it gets, because that certainly would be, you know, whatever the... Oh, I made that! And then I didn't quite make that. Certainly, you know, it's $5, so how long is it? I don't know. I'm curious to find out whether or not I'm going to have time to do that. Like, on my own time. That remains to be seen, but, you know, I'll give it a shot here or there. Certainly with checkpoints is, you know, helpful. But I think this is a good point to wrap it up. So we're going to have into the exit here. You can see here we've got different modes here. You got Arcade Classic, Arrange, Time Rush, Tournament, and 2 locked modes. And then here you can say, okay, start from Wave 13, which is the checkpoint after the boss. So before the boss, after the boss. If you want to keep just knocking your head against the boss, you totally can. Gamepad stuff, auto fire stuff. Games, you can increase the game speed. You know, there's your tutorial, the effects. And then if you want the music to be, you know, how it's supposed to be, or shuffle it, or put it in order, or put it on repeat, just one track, that's, you know, you've got options here. Although I think that menu could be a little bit better. But that being said, this is Hyper Bounce Blast. Again, the name, I think, is kind of too much of a mobile game name. I'm not fond of the name, but I am fond of the gameplay. I think it's pretty damn good. This is Attack Slug. This is Keith from my inbox. Spooky. And it's $5 on Steam. More videos every day, right here on this channel. Tune in, and I'll see you then. And I'm out.